Hello, everyone, and welcome. It's Shanna. Now, I have got my Simple Stories, simple vintage lavender fields pieces parts, and I'm just showing you several pieces here. I have got a whole bunch of stuff that I'm going to pull together. We're going to have a mismatch of product. I've got a bunch of panels that I have embossed with 3D embossing folders. They're just A2 size panels, and I've got some hexagems from the Simple Storage die that goes along with it. I've got some of our edge and trim pieces. I've got some sentiments. I've got the bumblebees. I'm actually bringing in a Pink and Main stamp set for this. What I'm doing here is I'm going to create several Mother's Day cards for my daughter. She's having a event at her business, and she wondered if I could put together some Mother's Day cards for that event. And so I thought I've got all this simple stories lavender filled stuff, and I thought I should just bring it in and maybe pair it up with a Mother's Day sentiment and make some Mother's Day cards. I'm going to make several more, but I'm going to do 3 on today's video. I'm just using a scrap of cardstock here to lay down on my card base so that I can have a purple frame. And then I'm going to bring in the Posy and Polka Dot 3D embossing folder that I have cut down. And we're going to layer it up on this card base. So I've cut it down to 3.5 by 4 3/4 is the measurement of this. And we're just going to have that embossed polka dot detail there. And then we're going to bring in some elements and just add to our card. Now, this first one's going to be really simple. In fact, all of them are very simple. When you've got the ephemera and the chipboard pieces and all the fun stuff, it comes together pretty quickly. Now, what I'm doing is just browsing through all the stuff that I have because I have strips. I mean, I've got a ton of stuff piled up there. In fact, I've got so much stuff, it's almost hard to see all of it. So I'm just rummaging through and going to figure out what I'm going to do. I mean, I've got pieces that are die cut. I've got all kinds of things. So I think I've landed on this black strip of lavender. It's black with lavender flowers on it. And I thought, well, I can just add this to part of the embossed layer there, and we can have some of our pattern paper, and I can use up part of a strip that was, laying around that had been cut off. And so I'm just going to dig around and try and figure out what I'm going to do with this. I'm thinking about the hexagems, and then I decide against that. And so I'll just keep looking and digging around and figuring out what I want to use. I'm opening up one of the packs of ephemera, and we're going to grab something from it, and we're going to go with it. So I saw these lavender pieces, and I thought they would look perfect with that pattern paper that has stems that look very similar to this, and we could bring some white in on top of that black and kind of lighten it up. So I'm having trouble with my glue, so I'm just trying all my little different glue options that I have there. And we're just going to get these lavender pieces laid down on here. And so I'm going to go and look for something else to add to it. So I'm just going to dig around in what I have. I'm considering adding a piece of the trim on it, but then I decide against that. This was just kind of a trial and error video where I'm just trying to figure out what I'm going to put together. I've got to make several of these cards, and so I really just need kind of a production line. I probably needed to set it up a little bit better so that I could be a little bit more productive. Now, I've got the enamel dots, so I wanted to keep that in mind that I have them and use them. And so I'm going to bring in a couple of those and get those laid down on here. And there's kind of some black looking ones. And so I thought, well, that would kind of tie in with the black pattern paper. So I'm just going to take 2 of these, the smallest ones, and lay them up above the lavender, and we'll add that. And then I'm just going to dig around and try to find some other things that I want to use. So I see off to the side I've got some chipboard pieces, and I saw a heart in there that was purple, and I thought, I need kind of a bigger element and something with some dimension to add to this. So I just grabbed the chipboard heart, and again, I'm having trouble with my glue. And so we're going to get some glue laid down on here, and then we'll get our heart laid down on our panel. So I'm grabbing my little needle and cleaning up my glue there, and we'll get it laid down on there. Video is a little chaotic. So next I'm going to grab my sentiment. I have taken the Pink and Main My Hero sentiment, and it has all of these wonderful Mother's Day sentiments. Happy Mother's Day, best mom ever, to the greatest mother, just all of these really great sentiments. And I don't know if it's still available or not. If it is, I will link it up. But I chose it because I needed something with a bunch of Mother's Day. We've got, I'm blessed to call you mom, so thankful you're my mom, or you can use mother. And it's just a really great Mother's Day stamp set. So I am just digging around here, and I'm going to find something to put on the inside of our card. I'm just going to bring in another lavender piece, and we'll get it laid down on there. And then we'll just have a little bit of fun on the inside of the card as well. And then there's plenty of room to write a message on there. So we'll get that laid down on there, and that'll finish up our first card. We're going to go on to another card, and I have no plan. So I just have these bits and pieces, just lots of things that I threw in this Dollar Tree little storage thing that I've got here. I'm going to grab another top folding card base, and I am going to grab another one of my embossed panels, and we're just going to get to creating with this. So I'm going to use the tape runner because I'm kind of giving up on the glue, and we're just going to start using the tape runner for our panels. And we're just going to get this white 3D embossed trellis looking pattern laid down on here. And then I'm going to go digging for some pattern paper and figure out what we're going to do with it. So I'm just going to do a flip through of my paper pad, and we're going to use this purple. I think it's really pretty. And this is going to be a pretty simple card as well. I'm going to bring in my Scallop Bows and Bell die set, and I'm going to die cut out this purple paper so that we have a nice little scalloped pattern, and we'll get it laid down on our card base. I really love using dies for my layers as much as I possibly can, especially for the detail. And you know, if you're not good at cutting your panels straight, the dies are great for that. Now, I'm still considering the hexagems, and I will tell you, I've got those die cut out, but for these 3 cards, I'm not going to use them. I might keep pulling them in, thinking I'm going to, but I'm not going to. So this is one of those pieces of paper that has kind of a big scene on the back of it. We've got a big old jar of honey on the back, but I'm just going to layer this up on my 3D panel, and we're going to grab some ephemera and get it laid down on here. I had this piece laying aside there. I'd lifted it up once, and I was like, that's really a beautiful piece. And I think it'll pair nicely on this purple. We've got a big yellow bow on it that I think will make it kind of bring the yellow gold out of the floral pattern paper. And so I'm just bringing in some of my foam squares. We're going to pop this up to add just a little bit of dimension. And we'll get it laid down on our panel. And I'm going to do it kind of on the diagonal like that. And we'll just get it laid down on there. And then I'm going to go digging around for some other things. We're going to bring in a sentiment. And I've also die cut out from the die that is included with this set, the Bumblebee. And it's a really cute. And so I'm going to add it. So I've got the little pieces. I think there are 5 pieces to this. There you have the little, I've got the black body that adds the stripes. And then you've got a yellow piece for the head, a yellow piece for the belly, and then you've got a black stripe to cover up the head. And then I've taken the wings and I have die cut them out of vellum. So I'm just going to get my little, this is like the head piece that I'm going to lay on the body and get it laid down right there on the top. And then we'll put the little black stripes over the top of it. It's a really cool looking bee. It's got a lot of dimension and a lot of detail. So now I'm just going to get some glue on the underneath of the headpiece. This adds the stripes to the head. And I don't know if you call the bees, if you call it a head or not, I don't know. And then the other yellow piece goes on the underneath the body part. And so we'll just glue it up, and then we'll pick up that piece there. And then we will put our wings, our vellum wings, on the very underneath of the bee. I'll just put some glue on there, and then we'll get it attached. And we'll have a little bee that can be nested in our lavender floral arrangement that we've got on our card. And it will add just a little bit of extra whimsy and dimension to the card. So there it is. Isn't that cute? Super cute. So I'm just going to put some glue on here. We'll get it laid down on our floral element. And then I'm just going to grab, I'm kind of lifting the little wings up so that they'll have some more dimension. And then we'll just grab, I've got all of those sentiments that I have die cut, or that I have stamped, and I've cut them down. And for this one, I'm going to choose Best Mom Ever. And it's a smaller sentiment, and we're just going to lay it across our flowers, and we're going to have another Mother's Day card. So I've got a little bit of time before her party to get these ready, but I thought I better get started because I'm going to need to have a variety of things. And so I thought this would just be a great place to start since I've got all of this lavender filled stuff. So I've decided for this one, I'm going to take the pattern paper that I used for the front of the card, and I'm going to cut it down. I'm going to take a 1-inch strip, and I'm going to make 1 inch by 4 inch, and we're going to bring a strip into the inside of the card, and so that it'll be really pretty on the inside. And I'm also going to take one of my trim pieces from the this set is from Spellbinders. It's the Edges and Trim die. I love this. I'll try to remember to link it up as well, but I'm going to lay my pattern paper on that so that I have a little scalloped edge on the top of my pattern paper, and we're going to use this on the inside of our card, and we'll just trim it down, and then we'll get it laid in the bottom inside of the card, and we'll just have some extra decorative elements on the inside. I think it makes it really pretty. Just trying to get it lined up to where we've got a nice little border all the way around it. And then I'm going to go digging for another sentiment, and we're going to add a sentiment to the inside. So I'll just look around at what I've got in my tray there. And I'm going to use, no matter how old I get, I will never stop needing you for the inside of this one. And I think it'll be a nice sentiment for the inside. And then that'll finish up our second card. So we've got 2 cards. We're going to do one more. I was thinking, well, we'll just crank out 3 while we're on this video. This one's going to be a little bit different. We're going to kind of go kind of away from the heavy purple color and bring in a little bit more of the kind of golden, yellow golden. I've got some ink on the top of that card base that I just pointed out, but our embossed panel is going to cover it up. So we'll just bring in another embossed panel and get it laid down on here. And we've got some great pattern there. So we're going to grab our pattern paper, and we're going to do a flip through, and we're going to find another pattern that we want to use for it. So I'm just going to flip through all of them. You can see there are some scenes, lots of floral window scenes, and I'm kind of liking this honeycombed. I think that's really pretty, but I'm going to keep looking. I'm looking at this yellow and purple, and I'm just going to flip through all the papers, and you can kind of get a good look at them. There's one that's kind of a mixed media looking one. So I've decided I'm going to use this floral with the, kind of mostly gold background and then the purple. And I'm also going to use this honeycomb. So I'm just kind of debating on what I'm going to do. I wind up layering them together is what I wind up doing. So I'm going to bring in another one of the dies from that bow, the scalloped bow and bell nested die set. I'm actually going to bring in 2. I'm going to bring in the scalloped, and then I'm going to bring in one of the other ones, and we're going to die cut them out. And then we'll use both pieces for this. And even though it is 2 busy pattern papers, it'll actually work out quite nicely. So I've got both my layers there now, and you can see they're very similar in colors, but I thought the honeycomb pattern paper would kind of tone down that heavy floral paper. And so that's why I chose to bring it in. Plus, just having an extra layer would be really pretty. So we're just going to use the tape runner again. I've given up on the glue bottle, and I'm just going to get it laid down on there. And I'm going to grab for one of my trim pieces, and I'm going to get it laid down on there just to add a little, bring some more white into this and just add a little bit of dimension to it. And we'll just get it laid down. I probably should have done it before I glued my panel down, but I didn't. And so I'm just going to bring in my little scissors and give it a couple of quick trim and get it lined up with my panel there. Just get it trimmed off. And there we go. We've got a little extra interest to the panels. And I'm going to dig through my chipboard stuff, and I'm going to bring in a little scene, like a countertop scene, and we'll use it for this card. And I really thought that chipboard piece paired really nicely with the two pattern papers that I did. It was kind of the lighter tone, and it wasn't the heavy purple. There is some purple on there, but there's quite a bit of the golden yellow on there and everything. So anyway, I'm just going to get all those pieces put away, and we're going to get this laid down on there. I think it looks really pretty. Just getting plenty of glue up, and we're going to get it laid down on there. And then for this one, I'll also bring in the chipboard piece area, there were a bunch of little hearts, and so I'll bring some of those in as well. So I found a little purple one, and then I found one that had like a newspaper print on it, and I thought those two would be cute up there on that white strip, so we're going to use those. So we'll just get them glued up and laid down on there. And this card, this is coming together really nice as well, so I think it's really pretty. And it kind of brings in, some of the different colors. The other two cards were pretty purple heavy, and then this one is more of a golden heavy. But I think it's really pretty. I will choose to use a purple sentiment because I think it'll pop off that yellow. So I'm just digging through and kind of viewing what, I grabbed a white one, but I'm just kind of auditioning different ones and figuring out what I want to use. And then I've landed on To the Greatest Mother, and we're going to have just two strips laid down on there. So I just laid To the Greatest, and I'm going to add Mother to it. And then that's going to finish off our third card. Just trying to make sure I've got it straight. Get it lined up on there. I think it's really pretty. So this is the stamp set. It's called My Heroes from Pink and Maine. And it's got just a lot of great Mother's Day sentiments on it. So we're just going to look at the 3 cards that we made. So here's our 3 cards. I think they turned out pretty nice. I hope you liked them. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.